college has either started or is about to start, and you need to listen to me. Because if you don't, you're gonna completely lose yourself. I'm gonna be telling you guys literally everything there is to know about college from A to Z. And make sure you watch the end of this video because I'm gonna give you guys a complete list on what to do to guarantee success in college. So why should you listen to me? Well, I'm currently going into my senior year in college, majoring in industrial engineering. So I guess you could say I know my way around things. So a little backstory. I live in a very small town. There's not much to do here. We have all the grocery stores, some fast food restaurants, but there isn't really much here. So when I graduated from high school, all my classmates wanted to go to college somewhere else. You know, to get the college experience, see what's out there in the world, and get away from their parents. Me, on the other hand, I decided to do the complete opposite. Even though I live in a very small city, one thing we do have is a pretty good university nearby. Now, it is far from easy to get into, but thankfully I had a good GPA, I wrote a marvelous college essay, and schools went SAT optional that year, so things were working in my favor. My parents did want me to stay close to them for college, but they didn't push it onto me. And if they knew what they know now, they probably would have wanted me to go as far away as possible from them. But overall, they let me make my own decision. So here's my thought process going into choosing which college I wanted to go to. If I went away for college, I would have to live in a dorm, I would have to share a bathroom with a roommate or sometimes the entire floor. I wouldn't be allowed to have a car because that's a rule at most colleges, and I would have to eat dining hall food. Why would anyone want to put up with any of that? But if I stayed home for college, I get to be close to my family, I get to have the personal space that I was used to growing up, I get to have a car, I get to go to the gym that's near my house. The benefits are endless. Now this is where a lot of people are gonna disagree with me. But I want freedom. My parents don't let me do anything. I want freedom. Bro, listen, you got it all wrong. I used to think my parents were the most strict people in the world when I was younger. But alhamdulillah, when I was younger, I never did anything to lose their trust. As I got older and built trust with them, I ended up getting that freedom that I wanted. And if you're still not convinced, it's because you want to be a degenerate and do all that degenerate stuff. Unless your career path desperately requires you to go to a college far away, if you are able to, I highly recommend you to live at home and commute to college. It'll make your life so much easier. Now this brings me to my next point, which is choosing your major. I honestly do not care what any of you guys major in, but don't pick something useless. Make sure to do lots of research about which field you want to get into and see what the market is like. In general, you can't go wrong with STEM majors, law, all that stuff. If you want to do something else, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Don't get stuck with a useless major, then wonder why no one wants to hire you. Me personally, I got into college for computer science and then I switched to industrial engineering before the semester started. So during the summer, there were these orientation days to get to know your way around campus and to meet some other kids. The second I put up there, I was like, bro, I'm about to be going to school with a bunch of weirdos. You guys remember how in high school there were these kids that were basically NPCs and didn't say anything? College is like that, but there's way more of them. At this point, I was worried that I made a mistake going here, but thankfully I met one or two guys who were pretty chill and I'm still in contact with them today. And that's exactly how college is. You might not like 99% of the people that you meet, but you aren't forced to be friends with them. If you don't like somebody, no one's forcing you to be friends with them. No one really cares. Everyone just finds their own little group and that's it. But since I didn't live on campus, that meant I wasn't in many social settings to meet people outside of my classes. So that meant I had to become an expert at making friends. This is my exact strategy that you can replicate to make friends at college. It doesn't matter if you live off campus or not, this is by far the best way. So every single college has this event where they have all the clubs on display. If you like video games, there's clubs for that. If you like going to the gym, there's clubs for that. There's clubs for people of the same nationality, ethnicity, religion. So you're gonna go there and you're gonna see which clubs you like and find out when the general interest meeting is. These general interest meetings usually have a lot of people come to them. They sometimes have more people come to them than the actual events themselves throughout the semester. So you're gonna go there and you're bound to meet at least a few people you could become friends with. Me personally, I went to the Muslim Student Association general interest meeting and I met these two guys that I became friends with. We didn't even go to any events. We would grab food on Friday and hang out on the weekend and that was it. Those two guys actually ended up transferring out of the university that year. So you know what I did? I went right back to the general interest meeting the next year and repeated the process all over again. And real quick, a general misconception that I personally fell into is that you have to be on the board of the clubs to attend the events. That's not the case at all. These events are open to anyone and everyone. If you do want to be part of the board, go for it. Knock yourself out. But me personally, I left after the first month. Okay, so now you have friends, but these friends might not be in the same classes as you. So who are you gonna go to for help when you need it? The first few weeks of college, I didn't know what Brightspace was or where the printers were, but if I knew people in my classes, it would have been very helpful. So when you're in class, try to meet some people. Realistically, not all of them are gonna be your best bud. A lot of them are gonna see you as a business transaction. They help you, you help them, and then you guys go about your way and forget about each other. But having those connections are gonna come in handy when you get stuck on homework assignments or you need help studying. When I walked into class the first day, I realized very quickly that nobody pays attention. People are on their phones, watching Netflix, playing games, watching anime, and the professor was completely aware of this, but he didn't care at all. It's because when you're in college, no one's responsible for your success except yourself. You need to be responsible, you need to take notes, you need to learn the material, and you need to submit your assignments. No one's gonna come chasing after you asking why you didn't submit the paper on time. My best advice is to try to sit in the front of the class and try to grasp as much information as possible from the professor, and then go home and teach yourself everything else. Which brings me to my next point, which is the difficulty of these classes. Bro, I don't know about other majors, but for engineering, the classes I took the first year seemed damn near impossible. And it's not that I wasn't studying, the classes were just really hard. I remember this one time this kid walked out before the exam even started and said I give up. Bro, it felt like it didn't matter how much you study for the exam, you're gonna fail regardless. Chemistry, physics, calc, linear algebra, all of them were a pain. And what made it 10 times worse was that my professors could barely speak English. For some reason, colleges hire professors that can barely speak English to teach the hardest classes. Some accents I was able to understand from my years of watching Russell Peters, but the rest of them I was completely lost. They are very nice people outside of class, it's just that no one can understand them. And my schedule was awful too. I had classes every single day from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. It felt like I was spending my whole entire day just going to classes. And if I did have any 1 hour breaks in between, I would spend it sitting in the library because it's not worth it to go back home. It felt like there was absolutely no free time. I was either on campus going to classes or at home doing homework. The whole entire year felt like... But the key here is, whatever you do, don't drop out and don't switch your major. Because the first year is when they try to scare the kids with all the hard classes. So when you start taking classes that actually have to do with your major, it's only the best of the best. It's gonna be hard, you're gonna be sleep deprived, you're gonna be depressed, but I promise you the semester will be over before you know it. Which brings me to my next point, which is try to take the hard classes over the winter or during the summer online. That's because when the classes are online, they are way easier and they go by much faster. Sure, it's annoying to take classes when you're on vacation or when you're on break, but would you rather finish a class in 3 weeks or 16 weeks? Exactly. Now I can't make a video about college without talking about this, so I have to include it in this video. Let's face it, most people go to college looking forward to one thing and one thing only: parties. And I'm here to tell you, as someone who has never been to a party before, all that stuff is lame as hell. I don't go to parties or frats or whatever, but I follow people on social media who do. And I can tell you that these things consist of people getting extremely intoxicated, drenched in sweat, and jumping around in a circle. Every time I see someone post on Snap that they're at a party, I can just imagine how bad it must smell in there. I also learned that people who are really quiet in high school end up becoming party animals in college. Now, some people say that I only go because my friends are going, but to that I tell them you can just say no. If you don't want to do something or you don't want to go somewhere, just say no. I've had plenty of times where people ask me to go to a frat with them, and when I tell them I don't do that stuff, most of the time they respect it. And if they don't and start calling you a or whatever, they can go hit their head against the wall. And I know some people are gonna say, oh, but there's nothing to do. Trust me, there's a million things you can do. Like going to the gym. Going to the gym is the best investment you can make at any stage of your life. You're gonna get in shape, first of all, and in college, it's a great stress relief. After a long day of classes or a brutal study session, there's nothing better than going to the gym and lifting some weights. Going to the gym is also a great way to make friends. Going to the gym and seeing the same people every day, it's like being part of a community. Everyone there shares a common goal, and at least you're doing something healthy and not destroying your body with all sorts of stuff. And if you don't know where to start, I have put a free workout routine on screen right now that you can screenshot and get started with. And if you don't know how to do the exercises, there are plenty of videos on YouTube. Me personally, when I first started, I was watching a guy named Scott Herman Fitness, so check him out. The average day in a life for me my first year of college was going to class every single day, making a TikTok when I got home, then immediately going to the gym before they close, and then spending the rest of the night doing homework. I believe that my method is the best method. Just go to class and go home. You won't get distracted, you make time for everything you want to do, and you won't be wasting your money on tuition. So here are the 7 things you need to do to ensure your success in college. Choose your major wisely. Don't pick a useless major then wonder why no one wants to hire you. Commute if you can. You won't have to deal with all the horrors of living in a dorm. Follow my elite friend-making strategy. It hasn't failed once for me, and I'm sure it'll work wonders for you. Make connections in your classes. Whether or not you become friends with these people, they are a big help. Be responsible in your classes. Sit in the front, learn as much as you can, and then go home and teach yourself everything else. It's really easy to fall behind in college with how fast-paced everything is. And if your school offers tutoring, take advantage of them. The tutors are usually super chill and teach better than the professors can. Don't go to parties. There's a million other things you can do. And the last thing is just stick with it. Don't drop out because you failed one test, because at the end, they're probably gonna give everybody a C-.